Hey, Emily here. Just want to let you know we made a little oopsie this week and next, and we forgot to record video. So we're sorry to those of you who were expecting to see our beautiful faces, but just know that we'll be back to it as soon as we can. Happy listening. Without naming any names, have you ever had an enemy? Like someone who really feels like they are like a problem in your life. They are a nemesis for you.
Have I ever had any enemies? Yes.
Kyle just had a flashback to the worst moment in his life and the one who was responsible.
Wearing a World War I helmet, holding a grenade.
Yep, a World War I helmet.
Yeah, I mean, listen, college, you meet a lot of different people. And sometimes you have to be in close proximity with them more than you want. And you decide that they're not the right people for this planet, but you can't make that final decision, unfortunately.
Okay.
I brought it to the Supreme Court, though, and they did execute that person.
So the story has a happy ending.
Yeah, it's a happy for everyone, truly. Have you had any mortal enemies, Emily?
No, I don't think I hold on to my ire in the way that you sometimes do.
I'm sorry. Emily, I'll have you know that I have an in with the Supreme Court.
Welcome to Butter No Parsnips. Every week on Butter No Parsnips, your hosts Emily Moyers and Kyle Imperator take you on an adventure through the weird, wacky, wonderful, and sometimes even wicked world of one wayside word. Strange characters, delightful bits, and general joyousness abound. Join them as they test each other's etymological expertise.
Welcome, Supreme Court. Welcome to Butter No Parsnips. I'm Kyle Imperator.
And welcome everyone else, because the Supreme Court's definitely not listening. I'm Emily Moyers.
You never know, honestly.
Kyle, I got a whiz-bang word for you today.
It's a whiz-bang word. Wow.
Yeah. It's good. You're going to hate it.
Those are the good ones. Is the word my enemy today?
The word could be your enemy today.
Okay.
Let's find out. You ready?
Let's hear it. Yep, I'm ready.
Your word is spadassinicide or spadassinicide.
I'm sorry. I had such a visceral reaction to that.
Spadassinicide. Spadassinicide.
Spadassinicide?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go ahead and guess that it's...
There's an easy guess here, Kyle.
With regards to what?
Never mind. Go about your business.
Is it about asses? Is that what I'm supposed to guess? Is this a word about asses, Emily?
No, buddy. There's not.
I bet it is about asses in one way or another.
I bet you'll find a way to make it about asses.
You know I will. Okay, This is a noun.
It is.
I'm going to guess that the verb form is you can, commit spadassinicide.
So here's what I'll tell you. Spadassinicide is the act of doing something. So you wouldn't verbify it because it's already referring to an act.
Can you be spadassinicidal?
Yeah, you could.
You can? I'm gonna guess with the side suffix there.
Yeah.
That it's like suicide.
Yeah.
It's like death. It's like killing.
It is.
Okay. And the spadassis, oh boy.
Yeah, so here's so you've gotten half of it, Kyle. And so now your second word is spadassin.
Spadassin. Well, Emily, so there's assassins and there's spadassins, right? Right?
Yes, you are on the right track.
So an assassin is someone who is hired to kill. A spadassin is someone who is hired to be killed.
I mean, Kyle, you're very in the right realm. Do you want a clue?
Yeah, give me a clue, please.
The clue I have is fencing.
Fencing?
And I feel like I've given you so many other clues just in the process of your wild stabs in the dark.
But none of those clues actually helped me. I mean, is it just to give up in a fight? Is to commit spadassinicide?
The opposite, maybe.
Is it to get someone else to give up is spadassinicide?
It's not, but
to
sure.
win a bout?
It's to kill a swordsman, Kyle.
So on the nose, and I was dancing around it.
Once you got suicide in your head, like it had to be self-inflicted in your brain.
Yeah.
So, Kyle, spadassinicide is, in simplest terms, the act of killing a spadassin.
Okay, all right. Yeah, that is the simplest way to put it, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we can all agree.
A spadassin, Spadassin, is a swordsman, fighter, or duelist. And spadassinicide is specifically the act of goading a swordsman into challenging you to a duel as a way to get away with murdering them.
Oh, it's like Aaron Burr and Alexander Hamilton, but with guns instead of swords.
Yeah, sort of. Well, swords instead of guns.
That's what I meant.
Yeah.
They didn't fight with swords?
Or a spadassinicide can be a person who commits such an act.
Is a spadassinicide.
Yeah. So it can refer to the act itself or the person that's doing it.
I have so many questions. What is the etymology of spadassin? Why does this word exist?
Let's start with spadassin. That's a perfect place to start.
I just want to say before you continue.
Yeah.
A spadassin to me is like, I don't know, I'm thinking like potato butt, spadassin. Like somebody who is spadassin is like a couch potato,
Congratulations, Kyle. You did indeed find a way to make this episode about butts.
You're welcome, Amy Coney Barrett. That one was for you.
A man of the people, Kyle is. All right. So let's start with spadassin. Mm-hmm. English borrowed this word directly from the French spadassin, and that is derived from the Italian spadaccino, which goes at least as far back as the early 1700s. That's the earliest that I can find.
It also goes very well with the biscotti.
Yes. Oh, see, I was thinking pasta.
Spadaccino.
That's funny that you thought coffee.
Yeah.
But we both went to food. Spadaccino, in fact, comes from the Italian word spada, which means sword, unsurprisingly. Spada can generally refer to swords. It can refer to swords as they appear in heraldry. It can refer to spades as they appear on playing cards.
Oh,
spada.
Okay, I see.
And actually, spada can sometimes refer to an épée, and fun fact, both the Italian spada and the French épée derive from the same Latin root, spada.
That makes sense. I can see that.
Yeah. Yep. It all goes back to Latin, which I think you guessed pretty early.
Yeah, honestly, the first part, I would not have guessed that. Like the side part, I was like, definitely. But the first parts, I was like, no, it could be anything. Could be Martian.
Sure. So the suffix cino in spadaccino, or just ino, is typically a diminutive in Italian. It's used to turn words like libro into libricino, that is book into booklet, or bastone into bastoncino, that is stick into chopstick.
That's good.
That's good. It's fun. So yeah, usually it's a suffix that makes things smaller. That, I don't think, is the case here, but in order to address that, let us take a quick detour. Most generally, spadassin is a sword fighter or a duelist. I also found multiple texts defining a spadassin as a bully swordsman or just a bully.
Like a archetype in literature, a bully assassin, or
just like a mean swordsman, like someone who makes trouble, I guess.
Like what's it in wrestling? The heel.
Sure. There's a translation of a French play written by Victor Hugo, famous for what, Kyle?
Hunchback of Notre Dame and
that's another big one.
Les Miserables.
Yes. But Victor Hugo also wrote a play called Ruy-Blas, Ruy. Blas. And in that play, Hugo uses the phrase un peu spadassin, which the translator defined as a bit of a bully.
Oh.
Yeah. I think the reason that it had this negative perception, the spadassin as the bully, was because it can also refer to a sword for hire, or a hitman, or perhaps an assassin.
Sure.
Which you also said.
Yeah, I guess when I'm immediately thinking of assassins, I don't know why, but I go to ninjas. That's just in my brain. So it makes sense to me to clarify this is a specifically, but ninjas use swords.
Sure.
I don't know.
It just depends on your genre.
Listeners at home, let us know what your favorite assassin is.
Yeah, when you hear the word assassin, what archetype are you picturing? Kyle, do you know anything about the word assassin and its etymology?
Not a clue.
Okay.
Should I?
No, it's just fun. Get ready. So its path to English is actually basically identical to spadassin. Assassin was borrowed directly from the French assassin, which is derived from the Italian assassino. But the difference is that, first of all, these words are way older. Assassino goes back to the late 1200s.
Whoa.
And second of all, assassino is derived from the Arabic hashishin. And if you're thinking to yourself, she can't possibly mean hashishin as in hashish, I do.
How?
So, during the Crusades, within the Nizari Ismaili sect of Islam, there was a specialized order, which is today referred to as the Order of Assassins. Just for quick clarification, Nizari Ismaili does still exist today. This order was from the Crusades and is now no longer around, similar to how many religions have changed since the time of the Crusades.
Sure.
But this order, they resided in fortresses in the mountains, and they were known for carrying out very strategic, targeted killings of important people, like assassinations. They also had a reputation, we don't know how true, for using cannabis before they went out on their missions.
Crazy.
Yeah, it was just, I guess, like a stereotype about them, and many locals referred to them as hashishin or cannabis eaters, like with a negative connotation. Like people were basically calling them junkies.
Yeah.
And then the Europeans that were there because it was the Crusades heard that word and adopted it, and over time it became assassin.
Mon Dieu, what is this? They are smoking the hash and then doing the killing.
Yeah, I feel like it had to be the French where that H got lost, because I feel like French doesn't have that.
You're right.
H sound.
They're smoking the ash.
And that's how we lost that.
Yeah.
All of which is to say, the Eno in assassino isn't a diminutive, it's just imitating hashishin. So the chino in spadaccino, I think, might also be conforming to assassino.
That makes so much logical sense, but crazy that this one order has two eponymous words that couldn't be further apart in meaning.
But we're not just talking about spadassin today. We're talking about spadassinicide.
I'll never get used to hearing it.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Kyle. We are, in fact, talking about spadassinicide.
Oh, my God.
So that has the addition of that familiar "icide" suffix that comes from Latin and denotes the act of killing. But spadassinicide, in case anyone forgot, is not just the act of killing a swordsman. It is specifically the act of goading a swordsman into a duel so that you can kill them.
Right. It's like 3D chess.
Yes, very specific and very dramatic.
Very dramatic.
But let's talk about why.
Please.
So both spadassin and spadassinicide are pretty little used words, although I think spadassin might be more common in French. But what usage they do have in English is either from or speaking about the late 1700s, early 1800s era. It's usually in reference to that or from texts of that era. And that is a time when duels were a very common occurrence. I mean, you brought up Hamilton immediately. That's a great example.
Yeah. I feel like we've talked about a lot of duels on the podcast too. Like, I feel like it's just a thing that is just like, all right, Tuesday, half off duels. Let's go on down to the Duel Emporium, you know?
Yeah. What do they got at the Duel Emporium, Kyle?
Yeah, that's a great question. At the Duel Emporium, they got books on how to count to 10. Mm-hmm. They've got shoes for measuring paces, right?
Yeah, it's like a shoe that is exactly 1 foot long. Exactly, it sticks out like clown shoes from your feet.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and what's the third thing?
And the third thing that they have at the Duel Emporium is Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
Wow. Way to flip it, Kyle.
Thank you.
I flip it like a Yu-Gi-Oh card.
Yeah. That one was for Sonia Sotomayor. She's a big Yu-Gi-Oh fan.
Little known fact.
So
The earliest appearance of Spadassinicide that I could find was a book titled The French Revolution, A History, published in 1837 by Scottish historian Thomas Carlyle. Carlyle wrote a lot of books on history, but was especially passionate about this one. He wrote it like in a fervor and later said, quote, "Not for 100 years had any book come more direct and flamingly from the heart of any living man."
Wow, it does sound like so impassioned.
Yes. I'm imagining like as he's moving his pen across the paper, there's like a trail of flames.
Yeah. When he's done, it's just a pile of ashes.
Actually, Kyle, it's funny that you should mention a pile of ashes.
God, no.
Just a quick fun fact. When he finished his first manuscript, he like sent it to a friend's house and the friend's housemaid mistook it for trash and used it as kindling. So Carlyle had to rewrite it from scratch.
Oh, zut alors, mon Dieu. No. I put it in the fire and now it is the ash.
Sorry, Carlyle was Scottish.
Yeah, but she had a French maid. I mean, yeah, obviously had a French maid.
Okay. And I don't know if this is going to go in the episode, but I found on the Wikipedia page for Thomas Carlyle, on the Wikipedia page for this book, there is a Japanese illustration of Thomas Carlyle finding his burning manuscript.
I'm sorry. What? What is this? What is this? Oh my Lord.
Isn't it beautiful?
It's beautiful. I love that they had to include that the dog was there.
Yeah, there's just a little greyhound in the corner.
Also, the maid was just like, oh, this is trash. Let's burn it on the floor by throwing a candle on it.
I mean, this is an artistic interpretation. Yeah. I don't think this Japanese person was in the room when it happened.
I don't know.
Anyway, Thomas Carlyle, as we can see, had a reputation just in general for having a very florid writing style. Yeah, he was a very dramatic man. And I think this book in particular was known for being a little bit like dramatized versions of history. And thus we should take all of his information with some big old grains of salt. Just as a warning. But Carlyle talks about dueling in the run-up to the French Revolution specifically, and he writes, quote, "Traitorous royalism in its despair had taken to a new course, that of cutting off patriotism by systematic duel. Bully swordsmen, spadassins of that party go swaggering, or indeed they can be had for a trifle of money." I know that was a little dense. Could you parse that out, Kyle?
It was dense. You said bully spadassins.
Yeah.
What did he say after that?
He said they go swaggering.
Yeah, okay. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So basically what he's saying is that royalists, that is people loyal to the French monarchy, were challenging patriots, that is revolutionaries, to duels, or they were hiring spadassins to challenge them on their behalf. And he's kind of implying that this was like an organized effort to quash the revolution.
Fascinating.
Yeah. Again, dramatized a little bit.
Yeah. This is a Scotsman writing about the French Revolution like 50 years later.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And he's writing someone else, the friend that he sent the manuscript to, that guy was hired to write this book. He like had a deal with his publisher and then said, "Thomas, I don't have the time. I can't get it done.
Oh my God.
Here's a bunch of books that I have about the French Revolution. You should read these and then write a book."
It's just
and that's what he did.
It's just like, at that point, there's gotta be some other, like, just tell them, be like, "Hey, listen, you're not gonna get a book." Like, did he like split the money with him? Like, what is that agreement?
I have no idea.
That's just insane.
But it feels like it could have just been a passion project for Carlyle. He read one book and said, "I'll do it.
I know enough now."
Regardless, in this book, at the end of this whole passage on the problem of spadassins in France, he talks about a publication he saw in the Patriot newspaper, Révolution de Paris. It was like a revolutionary newspaper that said, quote, Monsieur Boyer, champion of good patriots, is at the head of 50 Spadassinicide or bully killers.
Wow.
Basically saying that, like, hey, there's all these swordsmen challenging us good revolutionaries to duels. I've got 50 guys to kill them for us.
I see. I mean, wow. They were organized, huh?
According to Carlyle.
And we have to trust him. He rewrote this entire book from memory.
That's right. And Carlyle does add, quote, one of the strangest institutes, this of Champion Boyer and the Bully Killers, which, by the way, I call that as a band name.
Champion Boyer and the Bully Killers? Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
and I mean, that's great, right? Or at least it would have been in 1999.
It feels a little bit like a bully killer sounds like someone who is just anti-Teddy Roosevelt, you know?
So, Kyle, just before we close out, there's one other significant use of spadassinicide that I want to touch on. And it's like, when I say the other significant use, I mean like one of the very few other uses at all.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That is the 1921 novel by Italian-born British writer Raphael Sabatini, Scaramouche.
Scaramouche. Like,
and then what?
Queen?
Like
then you
Queen.
do the fandango, right? Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, you got it. So Scaramouche is actually a classic stock character in Italian theater, part of the commedia dell'arte genre, from which we also get, do you know?
Are we talking about the clowns like Pierrot and Columbine and
who's the really famous one though? That's in Batman.
The Joker. The Penguin?
Harlequin.
Mr. Freeze. Harlequin. Yep.
Harlequin's like the most famous one. But you're right. There's a whole cast of characters from the Commedia dell'arte, and Scaramouche is one. But this novel from 1921 is set during the French Revolution, and it's about a man named Moreau who, like, in the midst of becoming a revolutionary and also pursuing this, like, personal goal of revenge, winds up joining a theater troupe and playing Scaramouche.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Weird turn to become a theater kid as a part of your
revenge quest.
Your story, yeah.
Yeah. But he does also train in fencing and swordplay as part of this revenge quest.
It's stage combat, though.
And the book talks about how his perspective on duels shifts through the novel. And the book says, quote, when first this spadassinicide business had been proposed to him, he had been so very lofty and disdainful. Yet, having embraced it, he went about it at times with a ghoulish flippancy that was revolting, at times with a detachment that was more revolting still.
Oh, wow. This is colorful. I like this language.
But Sabatini clearly must have taken inspiration from Carlyle, because the book portrays like a common practice during the French Revolution wherein aristocrats often provoked inexperienced revolutionaries into duels as a way to kill them while maintaining their respectability as aristocrats.
Was Carlyle the first one to talk about the revolution and spadassins? Was he the first,
I think so. Because again,
he was just I think, listen, based on my knowledge from reading this one book,
this couple of books that my buddy sent me,
I can put two and two together and say that this must have been going on.
Yeah, I mean, it must have just been like his invention, because first of all, spadassin, not a very common word. Spadassinicide, made up word.
Yeah.
And in reality, dueling was not particularly associated with the French Revolution, more so just a fact of this era at large. There may have been some duels that were motivated by the revolution. There may have been some duels in which aristocrats provoked lesser swordsmen to their deaths, but when it really comes down to it, spadassinicide as a word and as a phenomenon is confined to the realm of historical drama.
I mean, it is dramatic for sure. Both in the sense that it's such a show of force, like in the political drama, but also it's directly related to someone who is in a troop.
Sure. Yeah.
It's just a dramatic word. And now that I think about it, when we learned about the French Revolution in school, we didn't talk about spadassinnicide. So
no, absolutely not.
It wasn't really a big part, if it was a part.
Yeah, no, I think this was just a little bit of artistic license.
Yeah. But I'd like to think of it, it sounds like a fun part, We could be like,
sure.
Well, it's the alternate Earth French Revolution,
Yeah. It's a good plot device,
Absolutely.
Love it. But Kyle, perhaps now you can take a crack at some historical drama yourself and use Spadassinicide. Yes, I want that one, not spadassin, in a sentence.
That's rough. Because it's a lot harder. Yeah. So spadassinnicide, that's the act of goading someone into a sword fight to get them to die.
Yeah, I think you could extend it to just mean killing a swordsman or a person who kills swordsmen.
No. I can do this. But you would say you commit spadassinnicide, right?
Yeah. I think a lot of the quotes that I found, the few quotes that I found talked about it in reference to a person or just...
Being a spadassinnicide?
Yeah, like they would call a person a spadassinnicide. Or they would just talk about it in broad terms. I didn't find the word commit alongside it very often.
That's fair. I mean, that's more modern, I would assume.
Probably.
Okay. One of the things that you are going to find out about me right now is that I was once a spadassinnicide in college.
That's why you're an enemy.
As a way to get the lead in Les Mis.
Perfectly relevant. And I mean, if you mean what I think you mean, you did use the word correctly.
Yeah, you got it. Nice. I'm proud of me.
And the police are on their way.
Oh, Em, what a great, fun word. It's frankly a ridiculous word.
It's an insane word.
But also, like, a word that can probably apply to a lot of points in actual history. Maybe not fake French revolutionary history, but in real history, yes.
And certainly, I think spadassin is like a usable word if you're just talking about a swordsman or a fencer or anything like that.
Love it. It's awesome.
Kyle, you want to play a game?
More than anything.
Kyle, your game today is called If Latin Could Kill. This is a phrase that's like if words could kill.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, if it could kill, what would happen?
So, Kyle, I'm going to give you a made-up Latin word ending with "icide," and you're going to tell me what it is that's being killed in this word.
Perfect.
Ready?
Yeah, I can do this. I'm going to get 100%.
I mean, honestly, you might. Kyle, if you and I are being tempericides, what are we doing? Or perhaps temporicides.
Can you, is it TEMPUR?
OR. Not tempericides.
I was like, I don't know, killing fried fish? I want to say like tempest, like storms, or like temporary? Temporal? Oh, we're killing time? We're killing time! We're killing time! That's good. I love that.
Yeah, you got it. Next one. What would you do if I asked you to commit lucicide? Or lumicide, I think, could also work.
Oh, kill the lights!
Kill the lights! Yes, you got it. You're 2 for 2, although 1 with help.
No, Seth's going to cut that out.
Beautiful. If I told you someone is an exitaticide, what are they? This one's harder.
Exit? EXI?
EXCIT. Exitaticide.
Oh, is he like a buzzkill?
A buzzkill! You got it!
Nice.
Very nice. A buzzkill or a killjoy I would have taken. Yeah. They kill your excitement. Last one, and this one is sort of it's got 2 Latin words.
Okay.
What am I trying to do if I'm hoping for duevicide?
Kill 2 birds with 1 stone, perhaps.
You got it!
Duevicide. And those are so good. Those are words that we should use, frankly.
Sure, yeah. Although, if I were a true Roman, I'd want uno saltu duos apros capere, which is to catch 2 boars with 1 leap.
Is that the Latin phrase?
That is the original form of that phrase in ancient Latin.
Why were they catching boars enough to have a phrase about it?
And with a leap.
Well, I mean, they run
just
away
jump
from
on
you.
them and then...
Yeah. Haven't you ever played a video game, Emily? You can't just run towards them. You got to leap.
I guess so. Kyle, you're 100%. You're perfect. You got it.
You're perfect. What a perfect episode about killing people with swords.
That's what I'm thinking about all the time,
That's what I'm thinking about. And what I want all of you at home to think about is that you can remember that you can watch us on YouTube at Butter No Parsnips, and that you can find Butter No Parsnips on other social media, such as Facebook and Instagram at Butter No Parsnips Podcast, and on TikTok at Butter No Parsnips. And if you like today's episode, consider giving us a 5-star rating or review wherever you heard us.
And if you really like today's episode, you can consider donating to our Patreon at patreon.com/butternoparsnips. Donating $5 or more gets you exclusive access to Buttered Parsnips, our After Hours podcast.
Ooh, After Hours.
And to our Afterthoughts post, where one of them mentions Thomas Carlyle.
Ah, see, it's all coming together.
Fact.
The Lexiconicon weaves an intricate web for us. Thanks so much to all of you. You help us make what we make.
And with that, I've been Emily Moyers.
And I've been Kyle Imperator, and this has been Butter No Parsnip. Emily, I challenge you to a duel!
Butter No Parsnips is produced by Seth Glicksman, Kyle Imperator, and myself, Emily Moyers. The main and accompanying themes were composed by Kyle Imperator.